Welcome to the Wealthy Woman's Podcast, a podcast for high-achieving women who are great at making money but struggle to build wealth. You'll learn how to take control of your money, increase your net worth, and make more. Ladies, it's time to create a life with more money and more freedom. Let's dive in. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you all are having a fabulous day. So today we are going to talk about building generational wealth. I have had the pleasure of speaking to many of you over the last couple of weeks. And like I said, it was a pleasure for me just to hear from you, to hear what your wishes are, what your worries are, and what you really want out of life. And one of the things that came through loud and clear was that you all want to build generational wealth, which isn't surprising to me because you are listening to a podcast called the Wealthy Woman's Podcast. And so I thought it would be great to just do an episode on that. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm actually going to break down what it means to build generational wealth, because I honestly think that phrase, that terminology is a little bit intimidating. It sounds like you have to have this fancy, complicated estate plan ready to go if you're going to build generational wealth. And it's simply not complicated at all. It's actually really easy. And it's common sense. A lot of it is just simply common sense, but unfortunately, a lot of us just aren't doing it because to me, it probably is because we feel like it's complicated. We feel like we don't know what we're doing. We feel like, it's just too much to figure all out, but I want to help you with that today. But before I dive in, I do want to tell you, I'm super excited that I am doing another Stop Overspending Masterclass. I'm going to teach it live to you all again on Saturday, September 30th. So for those of you who was not able to join me, mark your calendar for Saturday, September 30th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This was a very popular class. You all love this class. It spoke to so many of you directly, and I want more of you all to be able to experience it. And I want you to experience it live because here's the thing. I've got some surprises up my sleeves for this one, and I've tweaked the content just a little bit. But here's the biggest thing. You get to come and get your questions answered live. You get to come and ask me anything you want. I always dedicate time for Q&A, and you get to do that anonymously. You're not on camera. You get to put your questions in a Q&A chat box, and then I answer them live for you to hear and for everyone else to hear as well. And I don't use your name or anything. So it's a very private, safe place, and you get to just get the help and understanding that you're looking for. So if you are interested, go to www.jermainefoley, that's Jermaine with a G. So www.jermainefoley.com/SOS. Again, jermainefoley.com/SOS. And this link will also be in the show notes. And SOS stands for Stop Overspending, just in case you were wondering. So we're going to talk about why you overspend and why it's so hard to stop. That's one of the things we're going to cover. We're also going to uncover how your life will be so different if you could get over that hump of overspending. You can experience so much more freedom and liberation and peace if you can just conquer that one thing. And then also I'm going to show you and tell you how you can permanently stop overspending and how you can do that without giving up your lifestyle, without completely cutting your lifestyle to shreds. Because listen, we're not about that over here. We believe that you can build wealth and enjoy life at the same time. So I'm going to share that with you all. Again, Saturday, September 30th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go ahead and reserve your spot. Click on the show notes or go to jermainefoley.com/SOS. All right, so now let's dive into our topic for today. Okay, so let's talk about how to build generational wealth. First, before we begin, we have to get the definition. So, of course, I went to Google, and here's what Google had to say. So, generational wealth is assets that are passed down to future generations. And those assets can range from anything from cash to investments like mutual funds, stocks, bonds, real estate. You can even pass down a business because a business is an asset, or even life insurance. And I'm sure there's more types of assets that you can pass down, but that just gives you an idea of what it means. You see how simple that definition is? It's just assets that you pass down to the next generation. So if you're a mom and you have children, and if something happened to you, any assets that you have that are passed down to your kids is considered generational wealth. I just want you to relax in how simple that is. It really is that simple. It could be cash, literally cash money that's just sitting in a bank account. That can be your asset that you pass down. It could be your 401k or your IRA or any other brokerage accounts that you have. It could be your home. If you have rental property, it could be your rental property. It could be a business. If you have your own business, you can pass that down. Or simply life insurance. It could be term life insurance or whole life insurance. That is how simple it is. And like I said at the beginning, I feel like when we say generational wealth, I want to build generational wealth, it carries all this complication with it, but it really isn't that complicated. And so with that, can we just relax and say, yeah, heck yeah, we're building generational wealth. Absolutely we are. I am building generational wealth. Okay. And what I really want you to know about that is that honestly, before you can pass it down, you got to build it, right? And just be like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's why I'm here. I'm listening to this podcast. I'm all about building wealth. This is who I am, and I'm going to do it. So we don't have to overcomplicate it anymore. We don't have to do any of that. Let's just decide that that's what we're going to do. Okay. So here are the steps to actually building generational wealth. And I'm going to go through each one of them, and then I'll dive deeper into each one in a minute. Okay. So first of all, you got to let go of perfectionism. As I mentioned earlier, I've been chatting with you ladies, and I love talking to you. But one of the themes I'm noticing is that a lot of us want to be perfect when it comes to our money, and especially when it comes to investing our money. And I want you to let go of perfectionism when it comes to that, because what it's doing is keeping us stuck. And I'm going to explain how in just a minute. Number 2, I just want you to get started. Just getting started is the hardest thing, and it's also the easiest thing to do. It's the hardest thing to do, but also the easiest thing to do. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then number 3 is to make small increases along the way. So we want to check in with ourselves once we get started and make small incremental increases along the way. If you do those 3 things, you will be building generational wealth. As long as you take care of it and you don't spend it all once you make it, you will be able to pass that down to the next generation. And so you, my friend, will be creating generational wealth. Okay, ladies, we've got to have a serious talk here. Many of you are trying to be perfect when it comes to your money. And it's backfiring, because in your effort of trying to be perfect, you're actually not doing anything at all. So let me explain. Some of you are feeling like you don't know where to start with investing. Some of you are feeling like you don't know how much to invest. You don't know the right investments. And so because you don't know where to invest or the investments that are going to give you the highest return, you do nothing. And so what you're doing is trying to be perfect by doing the right thing. And I'm using air quotes when I say right. So what I would love for you all to do is to shed that perfectionism away. Let it go and embrace a concept that I call the B+ concept that was adopted, or I should say adapted, from something I learned when I was getting certified to be a life coach. So I was certified through the life coach school, and our founder and teacher, she teaches this concept called B- work. And B- work is work that is good but not perfect that you actually release out into the world. So like this podcast that I'm doing for you all is definitely not perfect. It is not A+. I would say it's probably B+. I think the content is really good, but I'm not getting it professionally edited. I'm not in like this soundproof recording room. I'm not wearing headphones. I have a microphone that I got off of Amazon and it costs $100. Like literally, this is not perfect. This is not A+, but it is good and it's B+, and it is helping so many of you. And the problem is if I would have waited, or if I would have let me not having a soundproof room, or me not having like a $1,000 microphone, if I would have let all of those things stop me from creating the podcast, because I didn't have all of those things because I was trying to be perfect, I wouldn't be able to help you ladies. I wouldn't be helping you right now because I would be trying to be perfect. And so the whole concept of B minus is that, see, I just said something that wasn't perfect. The whole concept of B minus is to get your work out in the world and start helping people, even if it's not perfect, and to just embrace B minus. So for you all, I'm saying, some people can't do the B minus thing, but you possibly can do B plus. B pluses are actually really good. And I want you to take that concept and apply it to your money, right? So I don't want you making crazy investments, but I do want you making good investments, right? And when we're trying to like do it perfectly and find the best investment that's going to give us the highest return, that's all speculation anyway, right? We don't know what returns we're going to get on our investments. Of course, we can look at the history and we can look at how it has performed in the past, but that, again, they always tell you past performance doesn't indicate how it's going to perform in the future. So that's a fallacy anyway of trying to, pick the right investments that's going to give you the highest return. And when you do that, when you can't figure that out, then you do nothing and you don't allow your money to go to work for you. You don't invest so that you can build that generational wealth that you really desire to build. Another example could be of you just don't know how much you should be investing. So you start to do some research, you're getting motivated, you start to do some research, you're like, okay, if I want to retire when I'm this age and I'm this age now, how much money should I start investing today? So you put that number into like an investment calculator and it spits out this huge number that you need to start investing every single month if you want to have the exact same lifestyle you have today, 30 years from now. And of course, that number gives you all kinds of sticker shock and you're just like, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford to invest. This is too much. So you do nothing. You avoid it altogether and you just keep living life, knowing in the back of your head that you want to build generational wealth, but you're not doing it because you're trying to be perfect. You're trying to put in the perfect amount so you can have this perfect amount of money at this perfect age. And I would love for you ladies to just let it all go. Let it go. Just let it go. Okay. Let's stop trying to be perfect, because when we do that, we take on this all or nothing approach where we're like, I'm either going to do it 100% right or I'm not going to do it at all. And this prevents us from having enough money for anything, even emergencies, retirement. For sure, if you're not starting, it's going to prevent you from having enough money in emergencies and retirement, and it's going to prevent you from being able to pass down assets to your future generation. Okay, so let's let go of perfectionism so that you can start taking action. Okay, so let's move on to the second thing you can start doing so that you can build generational wealth, and that is to just get started. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to make this super, super simple. And this is for you if you are in a career or in a business. Automate, automate, automate. Automate your savings and automate your investments. Okay. So let's look at savings first. We know that we should be saving. We know that we should have money saved in an emergency fund. We know that if we want to be taking amazing vacations and doing those kinds of things, we should be saving for those things, right? So automate it. Set up your direct deposit with your employer if you're employed, right? Or set it up through your bank where every day, every time you get paid, it just automatically sends a certain amount to your savings. Just make it automatic, okay? And when it comes to your investments, if you have a 401k or an IRA, if you have a 401k, that comes right out of your paycheck. But if you're using like an IRA or a Roth IRA, then you would just need to set it up through your bank that the money is transferred automatically. You want to just make it as simple as possible for yourself. So if you're a business owner, you can do the exact same thing. Here's what I recommend. I recommend that you decide ahead of time how much or what percentage of your income you want to allocate towards savings and investing. We want to do that ahead of time. We want to use our prefrontal cortex to make that decision before the money even comes in. Now, because if we don't do that, then we're leaving it up to our primitive brain, and we don't want to do that. We want to put our prefrontal cortex in charge of our money. If you want to learn more about that whole concept of putting your prefrontal cortex in charge of your money, then go to episode number 7, The Battle Between Your Brain and Your Bank Account. I really break it down there, like how it's so important that we plan these things out ahead of time so that we're putting our prefrontal cortex, our higher self, in charge of our money and not just leaving it up to chance and motivation if we just kind of wait around to see what we feel like doing. So the moral of this step is to just start. And we start by making it automatic or by deciding ahead of time how much we're going to put aside in our savings and our investments so that we can build generational wealth, so that we can pass down assets to the next generation. Okay, so number 3 is to revisit this every 6 to 12 months and make small increases along the way. Here's why this is so important. I want you to revisit your accounts after 6 to 12 months and just celebrate yourself. Allow yourself to be proud of what you've accomplished. That gives you a reward. When we celebrate ourselves, when we are proud of ourselves, that feels good to our brain. And our brains are like, hey, let's do this again, right? We're kind of giving ourselves a little shot of dopamine when we accomplish something and we celebrate ourselves. So we want to do that intentionally. And the other reason why we're doing this is so that we can make small increases along the way. So when we revisit, we need to say, okay, I've been doing this for a while. I think I've got it down packed. Now I'm going to increase it a little bit more. So let's say you were contributing 4% or 5% to your 401k or your IRA, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to bump it up 1%. You can do that annually. You can do that when you get a new client or when you get a bonus or a raise. You can do that anytime you want to. And that way you're not trying to be perfect. Again, you're just being a human, right? You're like, okay, I've been doing it this way for so long. Look how much I've accumulated. I think I can bump it up a little bit. Remember, we're not embracing perfectionism here. We're letting that go, and we're just going to be human, and we're going to make decisions along the way, and we're going to take one step at a time instead of trying to create this perfect plan that we can execute on. But the truth is we don't execute on it because we can't be perfect, right? We're not perfect. So what I want you to know, these small increases that you'll make, let's say if it's 1% here, or maybe you were putting a certain amount of cash into savings. Let's say it was $100 every time you got paid into savings, and then you double it to now it's $200. Making those kinds of small increases can have a huge effect on your wealth and the amount of money that you can end up passing on to the next generation. Warren Buffett has a really cool quote that I'll leave you with on this. It says, it's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. I'm going to say that again. It's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to find the perfect investment that's going to give you the highest amount of return, right? All you need to do is decide to get started. Get started and then make increases along the way. And here's the thing, as you do this, you will start to become someone different, You'll start to make different choices with your money. You'll start to want to put more in. You may start putting lump sums in. Who knows what you'll start doing? But the truth is, we will never know until you get started. So let go of perfectionism, get started, and make increases along the way. And be sure to celebrate yourself. Be proud of yourself because you are building generational wealth. Okay, so I hope you can join me Saturday, September 30th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to go to jermainefoley.com/SOS, and that's Jermaine with a G. And then, of course, you can also register for the class in the show notes. And the best thing is to show up live so that you can get your questions answered and so that you can have an opportunity to participate in some of the cool things I have planned for that class. So I hope to see you then. All right, bye-bye. Hey, before you go, if you're ready to create a life with more money and more freedom, then you're invited to join the Wealthy Woman's Academy, my signature coaching program where you'll learn how to take control of your money and build wealth without sacrificing your lifestyle. To get started, head on over to jermainefoley.com/WWA. That's Jermaine with a G. See you over there. Bye-bye.